You are now listening to the New Old Heads podcast, premiered every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time at BringDownTheBand.com, and brought to you by No Bad Ideas, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, and Sun King Brewery. Support the New Old Heads by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The entire crew is here, just pending the stimulus. And now I hadn't seen anything yet. Maybe by tomorrow I might see something. I haven't tracked it, so who knows? But we shall see. My man Jay Moore, the voice of Indianapolis. How are you, sir?
I'm hanging in there, man. You know, just trying to make my way in the day. You know, it takes everything you got.
I feel you.
Some of y'all got that.
I feel you. I see what you did there. My man DJ Jay Diff. How are you, sir?
Hey, Taste, I'm good. What's popping?
Oh, man, I'm chilling, man. You been stimulated yet?
I was going to ask you the same thing, man. I'm just anticipating my funds to be deposited.
Okay.
Wayne Brady have to smack a hoe.
I feel you. In due time, brother, in due time. Live from the Bringing Down the Band headquarters. My man Lonegevity. How are you, sir?
I am doing okay. Thank you for asking.
Oh, just okay?
Just okay today. Nothing special. But I will say that my stimulus is scheduled to be deposited tomorrow.
Okay.
Hey, Jay Diff, you know what that is. He already know. Yeah, he knows he knows when his is coming. You know what that is, right?
Let me ask you, Mike. Let me ask you, Mike.
You just use that.
Did you get the did you get the $600 stimulus?
Yes.
Okay, well, I didn't. So what's that called?
That cancels everything I just said then. I stand corrected.
Okay.
That cancels everything I just said. I stand corrected. My apologies. You got that one. You're right. You're right.
Of course, I could write it off on my taxes. So
good.
That was
you
okay.
Could. Yeah, they played you on that one, so I stand corrected. Shout out to the chat, man. The chat has been live during the pre-show. Now, I don't know if everybody is still in here, but we appreciate you regardless. D-Frog, I see you. The Flood, I see you. David Peck came in here. He wasn't hating on his own. He didn't know he was, but he kind of posted something in there because my internet game was low, trying to find some product. But we still love you, David Peck. Trey, I see you. Let's see, who else am I missing? Il Brown, I see you. Shot-Town, what's happening? Slot A is in here for a minute. Alex, we see you. I believe that is it. So shout out to everybody in the pre-show.
Naughty Pie as well. Trey.
Naughty Pie.
Yep.
I missed. Did I say Trey? Hey, Naughty Pie. We appreciate y'all as well. Thank you for rocking with us on the pre-show and dealing with our foolishness as always. Let's go ahead and get into. First of all, let's see. Let me make sure I got. I got to make sure I got all these links together. So Grammys passed, and normally the Grammys, there's a lot of I don't know how I would say it, surface material that usually is being reviewed there, and we've talked about when we talked about the nominees, we talked about how different it was this year, due to circumstances, and all that plays a part in terms of what's going on. But especially for the best rap album, we talked about the nominees with Royce and D Smoke and Gibbs and all of that, and Nas, and it was really dope to actually see a different type of vibe for the Grammys. I've heard a lot of people say they enjoyed it, even given the circumstances. Obviously, they had to put a production on the best way they could, but just from a nomination standpoint, I heard a lot of people being really excited about that category. But I also heard some people talking about Meg and Beyonce grabbing all the awards, and Roddy Ricch also has some interesting comments. So we're going to try to get into all of that, and, chop it up into sections. But first we can talk about just the actual winners. I'll go down some of the winners and kind of ask you guys what you thought about it. One of these categories I hadn't heard before, so I was asleep. But best rap performance went to Savage by Meg Thee Stallion featuring Beyonce. I ain't think she wasn't gonna win on that one. I know the Baby was in there. Shout out to Jack Harlow, who I like. Lil Baby and Big Sean featuring Nipsey Hussle. I did think, part of me thought they might try to throw that one there off the New Connection, but then
you said there was a baby in there.
There's one baby in there. Lil Baby was in there. The Bigger Picture, and I actually like that record. So shout out to Lil Baby. Dior by Pop Smoke, rest in peace. I was on Best Rap Performance, but Meg Thee Stallion won that one with Beyonce. When you got Beyonce, you pretty much gonna win, the way I see it. Best Melodic Rap Performance. Now, I guess this says for solo or collaborative performance containing both elements of R&B melodies and rap. That really could be rap, period, in 2021, but I ain't gonna go down that road. Rockstar by The Baby, Laugh Now, Cry Later by Drake and Dirk, Roddy Ricch, The Box, and which I like, Highest in the Room, Travis Scott, and the winner was Lockdown by Anderson .Paak. So I was happy for him, man. Dude is super, super talented, and shout out to him and Bruno Mars. I'm really gonna be excited about that. Out of those first two categories, man, anything jump out to y'all, man? You know, I was asleep on that overall, but shout out to Anderson .Paak for winning. Anything stand out to y'all on that, or y'all want me to continue?
No, I didn't think anything. As far as the best rap performance, that was, in a way, it was Meg's to lose. I mean, you got Beyonce on there. Everybody who votes for the Grammys knows exactly who Beyonce is. You know, because the thing is, I'm still assuming, much like any other award show, there are people that don't even listen to or know some of the songs that they're voting on. So if you see Beyonce, there's no way you got away from Savage, even though we were indoors. Well, a lot of places were indoors for the summertime when that song was huge, and it's still huge. It still moves the crowd. You know, I think the whole Rock Nation situation, you know, as we see it come up in the next few years, is going to be just like, you know, if Clive Davis is on your team, you know, you have the inside track as far as, you know, like no one should have been surprised that year Alicia Keys won all those Grammys, because, you know, when you're on J Records and Clive Davis runs J Records, I knew what's her name, Indy RE wasn't going to win none of the awards if she was up against Alicia Keys
at all.
So it's going to be the same for anybody who's got you know, the backing of Rock Nation, because a lot of this is about campaigning and making sure people are aware of your nomination. So
Jay Diff,
not surprised there. The Anderson .Paak, I was a little bit more surprised, you know, because I think he is somebody on a critical level that the Grammys like, because a lot of times the Grammys it's either about somebody who has a big hit or a big name, or, you know, most people in America have shitty taste in music. So if you say you like Anderson .Paak, people are more likely to listen to your opinion about music. And so if you say, hey, we like this, that means, hey, we're still paying attention. Like, this guy's really good, even though I think Roddy Ricch probably should have won that.
Definitely. What you think, man? Anything stand out to you in those categories?
Nothing really stood out. It all played out pretty much how it was going to play out with it being the Grammys. I'm definitely happy that Nas finally nabbed the Grammy. But I was actually going to say the same thing Jay Moore said as far as that's concerned. The board recognizes Nas's name. So when you got Nas going up against Freddie Gibbs and Royce da 5'9",
Jay Electronica,
Nas sticks out. Jay Electronica. Nas is going to stick out, even though Jay Electronica has the Jay-Z tie, and Jay-Z is all over that album. It's a Jay Electronica record, you know what I'm saying? So they see a chance to throw Nas a bone, so threw Nas a bone. Nas's album, in my personal opinion, was not the best album out of that group of albums. I've personally gone with Freddie Gibbs' album, Fredo.
Yep.
But again, it was recognizable. You can see Nas' name. They know Nas has been on that ballot many times, and they never gave him the time to shine. So, not to take anything away from his first Grammy, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
Well, no, I think there was, you know, when I saw I knew that Nas was going to win this time. You know, I think I loved Alfredo, but I'll be honest, like King's Disease is a record I probably played as much as I played anything else last year. I really liked that record. I think based on with who was nominated, I think
I think he deserved to win. I think he deserved to win. You know, Jay, I think we talked about how I think Jay Electronica, that could have been replaced with a number of albums.
I'm severely overhyped.
But once again, you're talking about Rock Nation. But, also I knew any album that starts off with a Farrakhan speech, that is not winning album of the year at the Grammys.
Well, hey, I'm with you. You're right.
Yeah, I definitely knew it wasn't gonna win album here. And Nas album is a good album. I'm not taking anything away from that. Just saying, as far as Nas's catalog, when Life Is Good came out, that should have won the Grammy that year.
Do you know what won that year?
What won that year?
That is 2012. Take Care won by Drake.
I wouldn't have been mad at Nas winning.
Yeah, I thought Nas should have won that year. He definitely should have won.
Life Is Good is better than Take Care.
But
they owe him a couple.
He was up against Drake.
He's not winning that one.
And I know this ain't Grammy talk, but just to sneak this in since you brought up Drake, y'all notice that Drake's little 3-track album is ranked 1, 2, and 3 on the Billboard charts. It's mid-grade to me. Yeah. It's decent, but it's mid-grade.
But we always had this conversation, man.
Just about sales.
Drake can drop mid. He can drop mid because his crossover appeal is so strong. Like, he at the point now where he can pretty much drop whatever.
1, 2, and 3.
But he's also
doing, because he's got 1, 2, and 3 with Silk Sonic at 4.
He's also in a position where even if you don't like Drake, you have to sit down and listen and analyze it just so you can focus your hate. So like they're the people who
Charlemagne got some ammo now, because Charlemagne seemed to thought that Drake's run might have been up, and we all on here agree with that statement. And
I said no.
Dropping these 3 songs definitely prove that.
Yeah.
100%. Let's get Lone in here. Lone, if you don't care, that's cool. Or if you do, just say something for me on this one.
What's the question?
Grammys, anything shock you? Anything that surprised you? Did you look at all the categories? It's only I can read them like we did earlier, but
no, I don't need to read.
We all know the best rap album was the big.
I think that they're doing pretty much exactly what they do every year. They're playing catch up, and I think they're a little bit better. I think even the people that were nominated in general seemed a little bit better than past years. It was cool to see, 𝐀𝐁 win a couple categories, which he should have. It was cool to see
it's true, didn't he?
Thundercat, win with Flying Lotus. That was cool.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
The fact that Kanye West won a contemporary Christian album is laughable to me. And the best rap album at the same time, I feel like it's just playing catch up for years that Nas didn't win in the past, because they feel he's owed. And so I'm not here to argue whether or not Nas should have won in the past, or how good of an artist he is, or MC and all that other stuff. But me in general, to me it takes away from what you're trying to do when you try to play catch up for the people that are a part of it this time, if that makes sense. Me personally, I don't think King's Disease was the best project on that list. I think it was maybe 2 or 3. But that's not taken away from. It's just an opinion show, man. So it's what it is. So congrats to the people that won. But it's the Grammys are who I thought they were. So
yeah. I think what really bothered me, other than anything else, is here it is, you're recognizing, there's a recording industry. And at this point, we know that streaming is the number one way that people are listening to music, not radio, certainly not actual physical sales. And nothing streams more than hip hop. And they still felt like the best rap album. How is that still a category that is a non-televised category? I think it's another instance of, just a cultural blind spot that these folks have. You know, I mean, it wasn't the fact that they did acknowledge any black artists that night on stage, but, you know, there were plenty that got their due. But, you know, how is it of all the categories that you gave away on stage, how do you not show basically the biggest category in American music? How is that a pre-show Grammy still? I think that's really disrespectful, and somebody in one of those rooms needs to call the Grammys out on that. You know, no one's going to care what I say, but, you know, maybe there's somebody who will listen to this and hear me and understand, like, if you're really about acknowledging what's going on in the recording industry right now, like, if it weren't for hip hop, these streaming services would all be in a bad way. So that's just the real.
That's a fact. They kept using, and they still.
It boils down to it's the same way in politics. Until all the boomers step aside and let some more youthful individuals take position, what we're gonna keep running into, and it's gonna be that way clear across the board on the big platform things that we watch and have paid attention to our whole lives.
They still do.
It just goes back to
cutaways. They do cutaways of Jay-Z. You always see Jay-Z on a cutaway, Beyonce on a cutaway, Meg Thee Stallion on a cutaway. But to his point, to Jay Moore's point about from a televised standpoint, it's like, okay, so we're not going to put this up there. We're not going to show Nas and all these people. We still showing cutaways of Jay-Z every 5 minutes. Like this over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying?
Every rap category, the way the record industry is eating off of rap and hip hop, every one of them needs to be televised. That's, you know, if you really worried about ratings and making sure you can take this further in the next few years, then you need to make sure that Nas, you know, if he gets an award, he needs to be on stage and during the televised part of the show. I mean, like I said, that's where those cultural blind spots come up.
100%. I'm with y'all on that,
at
man.
This point, at this point, it ain't even a blind spot. It's a blatant disrespect.
Yeah.
And it's just
I'm
not
with y'all on that, man.
The numbers should tell you. Even if you are not culturally aware, you know, the analytics should let you know that, okay, if we get an opportunity to we need to televise all hip hop and rap categories. I don't care what it is. I don't care who's nominated. This is what's driving our industry right now.
That WAP performance, I'll tell you that much.
They definitely gonna televise that. They definitely gonna televise that. That's gonna be on there. So I'm looking at the chat. I guess y'all the Flood said Lil Baby. I guess he like Lil Baby's joint, which I did too, man. Between MCIC, that's my guy Jalen. What's up, man? I see you. Appreciate you coming in, rocking with us for a minute, man. One of the biggest LeBron haters I've ever seen. So I appreciate you, brother. Biggest Michael Jordan fan ever. All right, man. Let's see. In terms of the Grammys, I'm gonna try to share. I want you guys to see what Roddy Ricch had to say in relation to the Grammys, because if you notice, he was nominated. I think. No, it was multiple times. He had multiple nominations, and he had something to say about, you know, the perception of the Grammys and some of the OGs. So I'll share my screen here, and y'all let me know if y'all can see this. I'm gonna play you guys what he said.
You need to tell me before you do this stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry, my fault, Lone. I apologize. Let me take it. I'll take it down and
yeah. Fuck all the shit you're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that down.
Well, what did he say?
What did he say?
Paraphrase it for us.
I mean, paraphrase it. So what he said was, he talked about Kanye pissing on the Grammys and, you know, pretty much denouncing the Grammys, and a lot of the OGs denouncing the Grammys. But it was coming from a place where he was nominated, you know, 6 or 7 times, and he actually was happy about it. And he's like, you know, sometimes the Grammys might be bigger to other people than it is to y'all, even though y'all shitting on it. I'm a young dude. I'm coming up in the game. I don't know what your gripes have been. I don't know, you know, what y'all been through in terms of the Grammys. So it gives off the perception that all the stuff that he's worked towards to get to the Grammys really shouldn't be celebrated because people like Kanye are sitting on the Grammys. And it wasn't too long, but he went off for a couple of minutes and he was just giving his opinion. Like the OGs got to step aside sometimes, and let these young boys do what they do in relation to the Grammys. Like, and some of that probably was coming from him.
This is the thing with that. I'm sure he realizes this too, but at one point in time, the OGs cared about the Grammys. A lot of people already know Kanye West's gripe was receiving a Grammy, and then once he finally got his Grammy, he made songs like Grammy Family, blah blah blah, and he decided to disrespect the Grammys. I think, and we've talked about this in the years past, as far as being a musician, of course you want a Grammy. You know what I'm saying? Once you get one, I mean, you've reached your pinnacle. You've achieved a lifetime or a lifelong goal. Like, for example, 𝗀𝗲 Thomas from Indianapolis, Indiana. Recently, she got her first Grammy this past Grammy Awards. She said, "This is what I work for. The whole time I've been doing this music business thing." So, I think it's a part of once you reach that threshold, you become kind of bougie to the notion of Grammys. Especially once you receive one. That's what I think it boils down to. I don't think I think they're saying that they don't want the Grammys. I think once they get it, it's kind of like, fuck a Grammy. After that,
I don't know.
That's kind of lame in itself.
Jump in there, Lone. What do you think about that approach for what Roddy's saying? Do you feel where he's coming from, or?
Yeah, I can appreciate it. I mean, if your goal has always been to be, to have a Grammy, and or if your experiences with it is good, then I get that. I mean, and back to Terry's point, like I don't actually agree with that, to be honest. Like I personally feel like if your threshold of success is the Grammys, then that's cool. But like, I mean, getting a Grammy, being awarded one is cool, but like gauging your success and like,
that's not necessarily what I'm saying. That's not necessarily what I'm saying, but it's part of what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that part of it,
finish your point, Lone.
All of that part of it, I don't agree with. That side of it, just because, I mean, from the stance of maybe the people that have gotten it, maybe they turn their nose up to it now that they've reached it. I can see that, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's really like a lifelong goal for a lot of people. Like goal meaning like I have to get a Grammy, otherwise like that's my pinnacle of success. As far as that's concerned, because the way that I even view it is just it's so separate from the musicality and everything that's going on. Like it's really a numbers game. I know we talked about this in the past, but it's really a numbers game more than anything. And I don't know, man. I don't. I personally don't feel that from a musical standpoint. It'd be cool to win a Grammy, but that's it. Like that's where it stops. You know what I mean? Like,
you wanted to respond to that as well about what you said earlier.
Basically, so I'm not saying that that's your main goal is to win a Grammy, but as a musician, it is definitely something that you wouldn't mind having on your resume, and it shines on your resume as well. And if you were in a position to be invited to and win a Grammy, pretty sure you're not going to turn down that invitation.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I just don't relate to the argument anymore. And maybe I would have in the past a little bit, but I don't really see a ton of merit. Like, I feel like if you're in the position to win a Grammy, at that point, a Grammy probably doesn't matter as much anymore because your career's already doing what it needs to be doing. So I don't know, man. Like if somebody said, "Hey, you're up for a Grammy off something I win," yeah, it's a cool accolade. Like I'll agree with it. It's a cool accolade, but I think that's where it stops, in my opinion.
For me personally, from a music standpoint, from a production standpoint, I understand. For example, what Jay Moore was talking about earlier. with the culture and how things are perceived and how things are represented. I believe that shit 100%. I'm with you there 100%. We've had this conversation in the past, as you all have alluded to. In terms of the actual Grammy itself, like, that is something that I thought about when I first started to make music. I used to talk to my mama about, man, one of these days we're gonna go to the Grammys. I'm gonna take you to the Grammys. Like, this was something that I thought about when I first started making music, that type of stuff. I'm not saying it was the end all be all, but if I was blessed to get a Grammy nomination, shit, I'm gonna be excited. I'm just being honest. I'm gonna be very excited if I was to get a Grammy nomination. Something that I worked on or something that I was a part of, whether it be album, film, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be, and that's, I guess it's kind of a weird spot, because you say on one hand you see how they be on the bullshit with the, not showing the hip hop and this and that. And I get that, I understand that, but I would be lying to myself if I said I wouldn't be excited if I got a Grammy nomination. That's just me keeping it a buck.
I think my excitement throughout the years has decreased more and more the more that I realize that
the Grammys is a TV show, not an actual award show.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. It's like maybe early on, but even so, I don't have the same story as you, Mike. I never had these grandiose idea of like, cool, I want to win a Grammy. Like, I'd never really cared, but I do think it's a cool thing to win. But the more and more time passes, and the more I do, the more I release and all this other stuff, like, again, it's a cool accolade. It means that somebody is paying attention to you. So, to Terry's point and to your point on that, like, I agree. Like, I think it's a cool accolade, but the merit of it is like, if
I want it down to you now.
If we're going to criticize it in one sentence, we can't give it the same type of accolades in the next. And I can't.
That's fair.
I don't know. So.
Look,
that's what I was mentioning. That's what I was speaking to when, I kind of came off like I was a little torn because of what you just said, because everything we've talked about is a fair assessment, right? But like I said, I would be lying, if I got one and, I would just be mad excited about it. I keep it a buck. I'll be honest, but I've always,
and it's dope.
Are different. It's cool. And
it's dope.
Cool.
No, and it's dope. Regardless, it's dope when people that we know get nominated for cool shit like that. It's like, all right, cool. It just means they're paying attention to it. You know what I mean? But
yeah. Like, if you got a Grammy, I'd be hyped. And sharing,
you'd probably be more hyped than me. Like,
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I definitely would be more hyped than you would.
Well, and I know this, and this is going to get some folks mad, but the folks who get mad.
It's all right. That's what we do. They'll be all right.
Watch or listen to our show, but
it'll be all right.
The fact that the Grammys has found a way to give Album of the Year to Taylor Swift 3 times, and I think she makes good music, sometimes great music, but for you to say this is Album of the Year 3 times, that she got Album of the Year again, I'm like, come on. Like, wow. I think, like, when you think about who's never even won it once, that's what really that's what blows your mind about giving it to her 3 times. And the thing is, I think she is exceptionally talented, but to like, Prince never won Album of the Year once. And Taylor Swift has 3 Album of the Years. 3. It's hard for me to deal with that. But once again, we
respect
see
that.
We know who votes. People who got kids who probably listen to Taylor Swift all the time, and I'm not surprised. And then when it's not Taylor Swift, it's Adele, who once again I think is exceptionally talented. But whenever Adele puts out another album, I guarantee you it's going to be nominated for Album of the Year, because once again, people have shitty taste in music. So when they can point to something, it's like, but I like this. So if I like this, my taste in music can't be that bad. But those same people who love Adele would never, if I say, hey, do you like Marsha Ambrosius? And they'd be like, I don't even know who that is.
I'd be like, who is that?
And from
who she's patterning her whole career off of.
Talk to him.
So when we were alive, when Michael Jackson was winning every fucking thing, you know what I'm saying? So I can attest that there was a point in time where the person that was winning was the one that was supposed to be winning.
Yeah,
Outkast won album of the year.
These are
Love
accolades
Below.
for. These are accolades for the record industry. So I'm not going to act like, Michael Jackson sold all them records. He should have won all those awards. You know what I'm saying? Because and Thriller was an incredible album. It was the genre
just
defining
happen to have
album.
cold music with it.
But sometimes when you look at the people, it's like sometimes they're like, okay, we're going to now. I think they're a category. We're going to give them a.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Billie Eilish is now in that category. They're going to give her the award. At one point,
she about to hit a lick over the next few years.
At one point, when Eminem, it didn't matter what he put out, he was going to win Rap Album of the Year. It doesn't matter what Adele puts out, she's going to win Album of the Year. And it's like, okay, we'll nominate certain artists. Okay, I'll just say it. We'll nominate Beyonce. And like I said, I think it's great that she has 28 Grammys or whatever, and she's broke this record, but almost all of them are in the R&B category. And I think that's fine because you know what? She's dominated that genre of music, but she's dominated pop music over the last 20 years as well. And it's great she has 28 Grammys. She's dominated. It's great she
actually dominated pop more than she dominated R&B. If we
it's great that
there we go.
It's great that Beyonce has 28 Grammys, but when she probably deserves 35, there's still an issue there.
At the end of the day,
go ahead, Long.
The Grammys is just an industry circle jerk, man. The end.
Yeah.
Hey, he made a good point with about Taylor Swift, and also about Billie Eilish. She about to come up in the next few years. Like I want to start watching the count because she's about to be next, quote unquote. She on deck.
Taylor Swift, Adele,
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. It's just they just recycle different, white women with different types of music backgrounds, and that's who's the mainstay is. Amy Winehouse.
100%. Like,
because the same thing with Amy Winehouse. I love her.
She was dope.
Yeah,
music. She was dope.
But know what? The same people who go on about Amy Winehouse didn't know anything about Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings.
Right.
You know what's crazy, man? Like the craziest thing I've heard. Craziest thing I've heard is, and I didn't even realize this until Jay Moore just said it, and it kind of I poured a little more water on my Grammy speech because Taylor Swift got 3 albums of the year.
That's a damn shame.
Yo,
now people
think about that, man.
Why Kanye was so pissed off.
Man, it makes me sit back and think after hearing that, like, yo, that's a good point, man. She got 3 albums of the year. Word.
But Kanye's mad after the fact too, though. Like Kanye's thing is a little different. Like he's hating after he's
Kanye's
won
also mentally ill, and I'm not saying
there's that too. Yeah, that's true.
Openly bipolar. That's facts. Go ahead, Long.
No, I'm just it's like we're trying so hard to give merit to the Grammys. We're like giving them like constantly. I'm not even talking about us. I mean, just in general, like music lovers are trying so hard to, like you guys can figure it out, but at the end of the day, it's an award show, man.
That's just because that's where they set the bar. Just like an athlete, even though you make it to the NBA, you would love to go to the Olympics as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And same thing with other sports that are played in the Olympics. It's just a bar that's set for you. You get to a certain level, it's kind of a goal to reach. Now,
Tom is still mad about the Olympics.
To a lot of music, exactly. It may not be that important to a lot of musicians, but it is something nice to have and to show off and have it on your resume. But Taylor Swift winning Album of the Year 3 times is a crock of shit. We all know that Macklemore winning Hip Hop Album of the Year against Kendrick Lamar,
that was some bullshit.
Mad City was total.
That was some bullshit.
But you know what? And make that shit right.
But you know what the thing is with that, Kendrick Lamar is now in that category. If he puts out an album, in a few months, it's a wrap for anybody else in that category. They're going to give him because they're still trying to make up for making Macklemore album. He's won every Grammy he's been nominated for since.
Yep, since
And Lone, that might be an emote, man. Overcorrection. That might be an emote, man.
It's specifically for the Grammys. That's what they do every year. You know, I think they did the best they've ever in a long time this year. But still,
Tyler the Creator won a Grammy last year.
Yeah, and he criticized it.
I'm
still.
not mad at that.
You know,
Because still criticized.
I'm not mad at it either.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that. He's dope. And you know, everything that we're hitting on is facts. Like Lone, I think on a part of the appeal of it also is, you know, kind of like they were talking about with the the mantelpiece situation. It's like, oh man, I come over Mike's house, mom's house, and he got a Grammy up on. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff.
Look,
probably
if you really want one,
well.
I can get one made for you if it really means that much to you. You know? Like,
yo,
etch it
and drink them when we all get together.
Right.
I'm with that. Yeah, Lone, if you make me one, man, I'll display that mug with lights and I'll have it rotating and shit. So
just tell me what you want to. Just tell me what you want to win it for. You know, which piece of music you've done.
You know what? Me knowing you as long as you being my brother, and me knowing you as long as I have, part of me wants to just let you engrave it, but I'm still kind of scared because I don't know what I would get. So I'm 50-50 on that. I kind of want you just to freestyle it and come up with whatever you come up with. And who
I'm
knows
gonna give
what the
it.
hell I win for.
You're gonna win the Grammy for.
Shit, I shouldn't have said that.
For What Baby You Know Way 280.
No, they don't know nothing about that, man. With the
Best
harmony,
classical composition.
Right.
What baby?
Gospel, right?
Gospel, yeah. Experimental gospel.
Look, if any rapper should have won Best Gospel Album, it should have been Snoop Dogg for the Book of Love.
Shout out to Lecrae too, man. People be sleep on Lecrae. That boy can rap.
You know,
they got bars.
But you once again, Kanye West is another one of those artists where it was like, all right, just give him the Grammy.
Last year,
even though he pissed off,
after he pissed on
Grammy.
Pissed on it last year and won album of the year this year. Ain't that a bitch? Lone, are we good to shout out the partners real quick before we go to the next portion?
Yeah, we're gonna come back to the Grammys, I guess, right?
Yeah,
yes, sir.
I mean, there's a couple other things in there. Let's see if we can find the partners here.
We'd like to thank our partners for the New Old Heads podcast. No Bad Ideas Clothing Company, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, Sun King Brewery, and the hub for all things New Old Heads, bringingdowntheband.com. Remember, once you type Bringing Down the Band in the search bar on YouTube and the page populates, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And as always, we thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
Shout out to our partners. We really appreciate them, and as I always say, we're continuing to try to advance those relationships. They've really been looking out for us, some longer than others, but you know, our newer partners, we appreciate them just the same. So shout out to Sun King. I see you, Lone, with the product placement. Let me jump back in the chat and make sure I didn't leave anybody out. Flood, let's see. Gotta go back to a couple comments. David Peck, I don't really care about a Grammy, but I'd be geek if I got nominated. Yeah, we in the same boat on that one, Peck. It's still a high honor. The Flood says back in the day, a Grammy win would turn into a boost of record sales. That's facts.
That's a good point.
Corey T, I see you, bro. My East Coast family. Grammy is cool. Shouldn't be the bar. That's what Corey T says. Really wasn't no James Brown though, man. I'm not about to get you started on James Brown, man. You can't even put them two together, man, against each other. The Flood said, "New Old Heads preach." Yes, sir. We preaching tonight. Ray T said, "Nah, I can't front on Thriller." David Peck said, "Laugh out loud, Macklemore." Yeah, that was a robbery. Yeah, man. Everybody knows that was a robbery like a mug. I still think Nipsey should have won over Cardi B. I'm standing on that. That's a robbery. Yeah, that's a straight robber, a Keelan right there. Did y'all see? Apparently there was I didn't see it, but I'm reading the article. And this is on NME. It was a Keelan. MF Doom. As MF Doom fans are upset at the Grammys the Grammys failed to capitalize the late rapper's name. I guess there was a screen tribute. You know how they show the picture of him holding a finger up and like stars and shit in the background. It says MF. Yeah, it says MF, capital M, capital F, capital D, and then lowercase OOM. people start snapping on Twitter, going nuts about, you know, the blatant disrespect there, and everybody knows how it's supposed to be spelled. You know, it's crazy. That kind of goes back to what we talked about, which has been somewhat the theme tonight, about how the rap category, you know, gets played. Like, how do you not know to spell his name correctly? Like, does this even just speak more to how out of touch they are?
I mean, it's MF Doom. It's MF Doom. You know good and well.
Right.
But they don't.
Grammys. And
This is
what we've been talking about the whole time. You know good and well. They don't know shit about MF Doom.
They don't know shit about it.
They just know that it was an artist that a lot of people followed, and he passed away.
There's no 28 to 35-year-old on the staff somewhere that can correct this shit. Like, is everybody baby boomers in the room?
When they do those chyrons, I know this because, you know, the little bit of experience I have producing and directing for television. When it's time to put all that stuff together, you know, the person who's probably doing it is probably doing it, and they're carrying it to the letter of the law of how you spell things in regular English. You know, they're not going off of, you know, of something. Even if they see MF Doom, all the letters capitalized, they're still going to follow, you know, how you know, proper names are spelled outside of initials. I'm not surprised by this. I don't think it's something we should be too angry about. I'm surprised they even included MF Doom, because there are people they forget every year.
That shocked me more than the spelling situations. The fact that that shocked any of y'all. The fact that they even put him up there. And outside of the spelling,
I didn't even think they'd put it up there. I didn't think they would. They're just people they forget every year. And I thought MF Doom was going to be one of those people.
What you think about that? Just the idea of them even putting him up there.
Put him.
That a shock to you? When they do
I've never watched the Grammys. I don't know.
Okay, when they do the in memoriam, when they
I see.
Yeah, when
he's never watched the Grammys ever in life.
Yeah.
No. Never. But
I actually believe you.
What I would say is I have no like historical reference point, right? So I don't know what they've done in the past and all this other stuff. Doom was a huge name for independent musicians, so it would make sense for him to be on there. You know, he's got a song called All Caps. Shouts to David in the chat, even all caps when you spell the man's name. Like it's known, like from a certain level, that you spell MF Doom with all caps. And even when he just went by Doom later on and for some stuff that he was doing. I don't think it was intentionally, you know, harmful, but you kind of want to get people's names right. You know what I mean? So I can see why certain hardcore fans are upset for the simple fact of understanding their fan base and what that fan base is. But the fact that he's mentioned, I don't know, maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. I don't know if it was on purpose, but
I doubt very much.
Wasn't on purpose. I don't think this goes to what you said earlier, as far as MF Doom is fans are definitely the group of people who don't give a fuck about Grammys.
Right.
So it's kind of that ironic thing that MF Doom wouldn't be nominated for a Grammy. They put the memoriam up and they obviously got it wrong because it's the Grammys. They don't know shit about MF Doom. People are still shitty about it.
Yeah,
man.
And you know,
and have it both ways.
I feel like people want the Grammys to be great. Everybody wants the Grammys to be great. You know what I mean? And wants them to be that representative. Like every year I'm rooting, like, I mean, I don't care about them, but I'm looking at the categories. Like, I hope they get it right this year. You know what I mean? Yeah. It would be nice. So when they fuck up, like this was a fuck up, even if it wasn't intentional, it's still going to look bad on you, you know. And it just means that maybe you need to have, I don't know, different people around or something. I don't know how they're built. So I mean, I don't know who's on their board. Maybe it was just a typo. Who knows? So
yeah, I don't think it was you know, something that was done on purpose, but
that's true.
certain shit you just got to get right, man. Like, do your research and, like the theme of what we talked about tonight. Like, they probably don't even give a fuck. Like, he passed away. Let's
you know what this person's job was. This person's job was to Google a good picture of this artist, the name on the picture.
Yeah.
What I will say,
job was they had no idea the artist that they was typing the name of.
Yeah,
his name was probably spelled right when they Googled the image. That's the bad part. It was probably spelled correctly.
Well, my name, the spelling of my last name. If I tell you the spelling of my last name, people still spell it wrong. I can literally tell you how to spell my last name. People will spell it wrong. So,
I mean, my name got spelled wrong in the Swish tournament stuff. So I had David Linquist email me over the weekend, said, "Is this you? There's a longevity in this." I was like, "Yeah, that's probably me." So I mean, hey, it's and this one even more so. Like, the reason why I don't think it's as big of a deal is because it's not like they misspelled it. They just didn't capitalize all the letters, so they probably just didn't know, And so it is kind of a cult type of thing in a way. Yeah. And even more so, like, I don't know if you guys are hip to a lot of underground producers, but a lot of underground producers spell their names with symbols and weird shit all over the place anyways. And as a blogger for years, like, sometimes I looked at stuff like, you want me to type this out this way? So, I mean, but, yeah. Anyways.
Look, one time I had to transcribe an E40 interview, and it, when you type out
game in that interview,
when you type out how he talks, it looks like another language.
Mm-hmm.
Like just imagine actually typing out how E40 talks, in a casual conversation when he's very comfortable. Like, it doesn't, because first of all, you're like, okay, I know that word, but I know that's not how I meant it. I don't know how this is going to come off. So there, like, once again, there's also sometimes there's just a bit of a translation. Some things get lost in translation. I don't think it was intentional. I don't think it was meant to be disrespectful.
Agreed.
40 is a national treasure, man. Anytime you can say back up like a sea crab in an interview and keep going, national treasure, man. Like, I'm ready for 8 more 840 albums so I can listen to them alone. Like, I can't wait for him to drop more product. That's real. Excuse me. Chat says, Corey T says they ain't spelling Barbara Streisand name wrong. I feel you on that. D Frog said, Wiki says MF Doom. Oh, Wiki says MF Doom, just like they had a spell for the Grammys. Interesting. Maybe the person that was working that just went to Wiki. How about that? That's probably why. Okay, D Frog, good point. I didn't get that. And D Frog was being petty. He said maybe it was on purpose to create controversy. I don't know about that, D Frog. I don't know about that. All right, so let's see how much time we got left. I know we started a little.
We got 12 minutes.
So somebody might have went on there and did it to be funny.
True. They do have an edit button. I keep forgetting about that part. So either way, man, get the shit right, man, at the end of the day. All right, so we got about 12 minutes left before we get out of this episode. Let's see. I think I'm all pretty much Grammy down on that one. All right, let's talk about, I brought this up in our actually before we came onto the pre-show. I brought up Brooklyn MC Skyzoo, and he, to me, is an interesting MC because he's been rapping. His first project came out back in 2006. It was a project with Ninth Wonder called Cloud 9, which I remember listening to. I remember when Lone got it, and we were listening to that. There was an article posted about him that pretty much talked about how long he's been rapping and how consistent he's been as an MC all these times. And Skyzoo has always been an interesting conversation for me amongst my friends or homies or artists that I know who like his music. I always hear, sometimes I hear fam has gone above and beyond where I expected him to be. I hear other people say maybe fell short in his career up to this point because he didn't get a lot of notoriety, he didn't get a lot of quote unquote exposure that person felt like he should get. And some people feel like he's just been an incredibly talented MC So since he's been putting out projects and he's been very consistent and he's dope, one of all-time greats. I always look at him as someone that I believe doesn't get a lot of props that he should get because of how consistent he is. How do y'all feel about Sky, man? Just from a standpoint of, we talk legacy a lot, and he's been rapping long enough. Jay Moore made this point where we can actually talk about his legacy and impact on the culture more on the underground. But he still is a very impactful artist. Like, when you think about Skyzoo, how do y'all see his career in terms of where he is to this point? Lone, I'll come to you first. I know we've been I think you may have even put me on Sky, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but you may have. How do you see it, man? What's your take his career and his legacy as an MC?
He's a really dope, consistent MC. I mean, he puts out back to back great projects. He's one of the most thought-provoking writers. From a standpoint, you always know that when you're going to listen to a Skyzoo project, you should always go into it knowing that the production is going to slap pretty heavy, especially if you like boom bap-esque beats most of the time. He's always going to be consistent with that. But also that his writing is very nuanced and it's very deep and there's layers to it. And so if you're somebody that loves the lyrical side of hip hop and loves to pick apart all that stuff, you can get lost in Skyzoo's bars. It could take you a long time to decipher stuff. But it's also delivered in a very consumable manner. It's in a way that's very easy to take in. The only knock that I would say that I've heard from people about Sky is that, he is consistent. He doesn't really switch his style up that much as far as like how he delivers, and exactly what you're going to get from him. So, that's for any individual to decide, based upon like what you like and all that good stuff. You're not going to hear him really do a lot of trap cadences and rap over trap beats. He's going to do his thing, and I think he does it really well. I don't remember when I first heard Skyzoo exactly, but it was probably 2008 or 9. So it probably wasn't me that put you, or maybe I heard about him before that. I don't know.
I feel like we talked about Cloud9, maybe. Like I said, I could be wrong, but maybe
might have been Poppy. Might have been Abe. Might have been Poppy Amon, because he was a huge fan, I know. But yeah, what I will say is that Live from the Tape Deck with him and Ill Mind was one of my favorite projects for a long time. So
you talk about slaps.
Yeah, but at the same time, so I mean, I've been listening to him for about 10 years, give or take. To me, it's kind of interesting to talk about legacies. It's really only kind of been a decade since I've really been listening to his music. But I'll let you guys talk about it.
All right, Jay Diff, jump in, man. What's your thoughts about Sky?
I think Sky is dope, man, but about the lane he's in, he hasn't tried to jump over into that mainstream, semi-mainstream lane to kind of project his career to another level. He's been cool being where he's at, and I appreciate him. A lot of people actually appreciate the chance that he takes and where he's at, because you never hear Skyzoo with mainstream artists. I know that the article or whatever you're referencing is talking about 20 years, but that's kind of like saying somebody we know from here that we may have known for 7 or 8 years, and then they make it to the next level, and a lot of more national people start paying attention to them. Then that's technically where their time starts. So it's probably somebody that was around when he was making those tracks or whatnot to say 20, but I'm along the lines alone, kind of like that 10 to 12 year range as far as how long I've been messing with Sky. And I mean, he definitely has classics in his repertoire. He doesn't switch up his cadence a lot per se, but it still sounds fresh, if that makes any sense. Because a lot of people, rappers you can listen to, and they keep that same delivery, even like the newest one, the Baby. Everybody knows the Baby flow. The exact same every time, but it sounds the same every time. Somebody like Skyzoo, he can kind of keep that same cadence and delivery, but then he raps and switches it. You say switches it up because it's the same thing, but y'all kind of understand what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I follow
how he puts his words together, the stories. He even has to go back and say the shit slow sometimes. I don't know if anybody's seen him in person. So he'll rap the song. He'll be like, I want y'all to really listen to this shit. He'll slow down exactly what he's saying. Those that didn't catch it. And I mean, dude is dope, man. He's an artist. He's one of those people that you would say, I'm your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Because like even with Young Chris, people don't remember how dope Young Chris was. Rockefeller. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Is he pretty much
I'm with you there.
Is he followed Chris's cadence, just did his own thing with it. Lo and behold, young Chris had bars. Still got bars.
Yeah.
And he
great.
He could be in that conversation as well. As far as artists who may not get their flowers or who people don't check for like that, because I mean, dude is still dope. Simple as that. But definitely give props to Skyzoo. He's a dope artist. He's an artist, and just is what it is. Unfortunately, he's just in that lane where a lot of people don't get to hear him like they should.
Before I come to Jay Moore, from a legacy time frame standpoint, to give y'all a reference, Hit Me Later by Drake came out in 2010. We can definitely have a legacy conversation about him in 2021. So just for reference. More, jump in there.
Well, I think this is the crazy thing about hip hop. When we talk about legacies, a lot of times they're a legacy that have been solidified by the time an artist gets to be 25. Now I'm taking it back to, say, the golden era, depending on how you feel and what a golden era is. But when you talk about artists like Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, even our conversation, about Run DMC and the Fat Boys from a few weeks ago, most of these guys had made, I'll throw LL Cool J in there, they had made their career-defining moves musically by the time they were 25. So it sounds crazy to say, oh, well, this, here's somebody who's our age, and we're talking about, a legacy artist and what is their stamp in the game, and how should we look at them, especially with the level of art that Skyzoo has given us. He's given, he hasn't one of those people that just disappears for 12 or 13 years and is like, hey, I'm back. No, like, he's been consistent in his releases, as not only his quality, but just as far as frequency. I think that's also something that you can play into it. With somebody like, this is the thing, a lot of times in this, I think we can kind of tie this a little bit back into our Grammy conversation. Because, okay, there are people who have won Grammys and they've been the toast of the town. And you know what? We don't hear from them ever again. It was that Grammy, and then it was a slow decline into obscurity after that. But then there are artists like Skyzoo, somebody who the mainstream doesn't particularly know, but if you're a hip hop junkie, you have a genuine appreciation for. And, he's able to, as far as I know, eat off of rap, so for him, that might be his Grammy, the fact that he can live off of music. Maybe he's not driving around in Benzes and Rolls Royces or whatever, but the fact that he can devote
comfortable,
he's comfortable, he can devote his life to his art. For some people, that's the Grammy. The fact that you can devote your life to your art and not have to do something else, to maintain, you make sure you can feed your kids and keep yourself, sheltered. I know for most people I know who are really artists, like that's the goal. That is the reward. That's the ultimate, I don't know, whatever mountaintop is like, hey, can I eat off a rap? okay, well, I've made it.
Yeah.
Damn a Grammy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the fact
that, I'm not mad at that.
The Grammy is
so
the
the fact that someone like Nas has been able to, he's been able to not only live but thrive without a Grammy. I mean, okay, for us, what does a Grammy really mean? You know, so Skyzoo, you know, long story short about what I'm trying to say is he's been able to be consistent in the level and the consistency and quality of his art, but also be able to have people like us care enough about him to even talk about him and still, you know, enjoy his records. And so I think to tie it all back, that's really the goal. You know, Grammys are nice, but if I could have Young MC's career who won a Grammy, or I could have Skyzoo's career, which I'm going to take Skyzoo's career.
I'm 100% taking Skyzoo's career.
Stone Cold Rhymin' is the first CD I ever bought. But but I'm just saying,
haircut over his haircut.
Hey, at the end of the day, that brother's made a successful career off of hip hop by making dope shit. He's been consistent, and I'm a fan. I look forward to any time he drops. You know, sometimes you just got to give flowers to people, man. And he's one of those dudes I feel like deserves it. And I hope he continues to put out dope product, continue to advance the culture, man. Because he's definitely a gem in the hip hop game for sure. Looks like if we about
I just seen him actually make a post where he went to go check out what's my guy Westside Gunn's new store. You know, he just opened a store in Buffalo in the mall.
Yeah,
I heard about
saw that Skyzoo posted him. He must get on the plane to go support his guy, Westside Gunn. So as you can see, he has connects in the cats that everybody else might know about with Skyzoo, whether they know about him or not.
Right.
Thing about that Westside Gunn connection is he was one of the first people to feature Westside Gunn. Skyzoo was. So you could tell they created a bond early. Like that's a huge sign of respect for Griselda to be where they are now, and him to still be cool with Westside Gunn and Biddy and all them cats. They still show love. I mean, so and shout out to Westside Gunn as well for bringing the first black-owned art gallery / store to the Buffalo area, man, in the mall. Like he did it back at the crib where he's from. It's black-owned. So salute to that brother, man, for putting that back in the Buffalo area. I think that's extremely dope. And I noticed the line, you know, everybody talk about the nostalgia with Griselda. I saw a lot of 20 and 22-year-old white kids in that line to get into that store. So, you know, they're doing something right. I'm just going to leave it at that. So before we get out of here, is there anything I missed? Anything else y'all want to say before we rock out?
Yeah. Green Newport boxes can make a finger talk. Go listen to Krylon by Skyzoo.
Hey, Flood said Young MC Shag was on point.
His shag was undeniable.
Listen, I beg to differ.
And once again, I'm not dissing. I'm really not dissing Young. Like I said, Stone Cold Rhymin' is really a great record. You know, I'm not. Go back and listen to Stone Cold Rhymin'.
I'm cool.
Go back and listen
on that.
Terry gave you that.
On that note, y'all. Yeah. On that note, y'all make sure y'all go check us out on Patreon. Make sure you subscribe. Always remember to subscribe on Twitch as well as we continue to grow the brand here. We appreciate the support. Support as always. 𝐷𝐲, I see you, Peck, the Flood, all the usual suspects, man. We appreciate y'all being in the chat. And stick around with us for a little post show action. You know, we're gonna talk crazy for a little bit, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
You're